Today we're going to be foraging and cooking with dandelion. And dandelion is a great plant to start with, especially if you don't have a whole lot of experience wildcrafting or foraging. And it's a great place to start because the entire plant can be used. Okay, the flower buds, the flowers themselves, even the stems, the leaves, and even the roots themselves. Okay, and then there's different times of year where it may or may not be better than others depending on what you're trying to do with it. But for now, it's late April here in North Idaho, so for us it's kind of like early spring. So it's a great time to harvest the greens. You can harvest the roots now as well. A lot of people will wait till the fall to do that, but you can actually do it either way. It's all edible. But for today, what I want to do is you just gather some greens and then we're going to cook them. And we're also going to do a couple other things that I'm going to show you here in a minute. So, all right, let's get started. Okay, so you can see here, I'll get a little closer. This is dandelion right here. Okay, it's got this whole rosette pattern down here and distinctive leaves. And we can also kind of look in a little tighter. And you can see these buds. Those are flower buds that are all coming from this one rosette. And so these will flower soon. They haven't flowered yet. We do have some dandelion on our property that is flowering in other places. And this is just a little bit behind there. But we can harvest all of these leaves and use them. You can eat them raw, and you can also eat them cooked. You can saute them. And so much more, right? This can be preserved, they can be dried, it can be frozen. There's a whole lot to it, and I will show you. I'm going to dig one up for you and show you the roots here in a minute. All right, so if we take some of these fresh leaves right here, and they can be eaten raw. And this time of year, it's really good. It's mild. It does a little bit, it finishes bitter. So this is something that, like I said, it's perfectly fine now. And if you like kind of bitter things, then this is going to be great as is. It's also good to mix in with some of your more standard greens. But it's probably no more bitter than, say, kale right now. Now, later on in the summer, it'll get very bitter. Okay, now you'll see, we'll test it out. Sauteing these does take some of that bitterness away, and so you'll see that here in a minute. Okay, let me show you some different growing conditions where you'll find dandelion. And dandelion does thrive almost everywhere. However, there is a growth pattern that is distinct. I showed you up in our herb garden where we have dandelion that is growing there. We didn't plant it there, it just grows there, and so we use it there. But it had this huge rosette, and there's these massive amounts of leaves. And it wasn't flowering yet, so let me show you this. Let's see if you can see that, hopefully. All right, so we have this flowering already, and the rosette is only that big, okay? And there's the multiple flowers down here. It's flowering here, and then these are coming up. It's still obviously edible. This is still all edible. It's just not. The leaves are not growing as significantly as they were up in an area where there's more moisture, a little richer soil. Okay, but again, dandelion does great here. Now I'm going to show you the difference or the root structure of dandelion. Hopefully, what I'm trying to show you is there is a tap root. Dandelion makes a significant taproot. Oh, smants. All right, so let's see. Hopefully you can see that. And then what I do is I kind of peel away the soil, right? Because we just have some grasses up here, and we start to reveal. Let's see here. Start pulling the stuff away. Okay, it's not significant or anything, but definitely there. Okay, so this taproot right there, which is the dandelion, right? So the grass roots are only about an inch down, right? Because this is not ideal ground right here. But look at that. right? That's much more significant. And even this is small little rosette, some flowers, and then we have that taproot. Okay, that's why it's really difficult to get rid of dandelion if that's what you're trying to do, is because of that significant taproot. Okay, so that roots. Now this is not an ideal one, right? Those ones we have in our garden, they probably have these significant taproots that can be harvested. But that's just an example that shows you, why it's significant. And that can be eaten. It can be eaten raw. It can be roasted. Make coffee. We have done that. We take chicory root, dandelion root, and we mix it with regular dark roast coffee, and it's really great. Okay, and let's see. Okay, so let's gather some dandelion. Let's get some of the leaves. I think I'm not going to worry about the flowers today. You can use the flowers, and in fact, probably our favorite thing to do with the flowers is we take tempura batter and we basically fry up the flowers and eat them, and they're fantastic that way. But again, there's a lot of ways to preserve dandelion, the leaves, the roots, all that. But for today, we're going for the greens. All right, this is what we're going to cook up. We've got our dandelion leaf here. I just went ahead and grabbed some plantain and also some stinging nettle, so we're going to mix those all up. And then I also, instead of grabbing the actual flowers themselves, got these flower buds, and they're going to be more almost like capers, and there's a way to kind of caper them. So we're going to just saute them up and see how that turns out. All right, here we go. All right, while the rocket stove is heating up and getting ready, I'll show you what we have. Is I've got my greens in here: dandelion, plantain, stinging nettle, and a few dandelion flower buds. Okay, the stage before they go to flower. I've got a couple of our duck eggs, and so what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a sauteed greens and a scramble. Okay, so I'm gonna melt some butter in a pan. Once this burns down a little bit, and then saute the greens a little bit, mix up the eggs while that's waiting, and then just dump it all in, and we'll see how it turns out. Let me show you something real quick while that's heating up. Is that right down there? So you have a dandelion here, and these little logs weren't here before, but here's completely rocky ground. It gets a lot of sun right there, and so again, you can see that it's already flowered, but the rosette's pretty small, right? But it doesn't get any water there. It just does what it does, and does fine. But if you look just right over here, kind of behind this little cold frame, right? This is a much more shady area, but look how big that rosette is. Okay, and it has not flowered, and then there's a bunch of little buds in there. And this is like ideal greens for that area. I just wanted to show you that. All right, looks like it's burned down pretty well, and let's see if you're gonna be able to see that. I think so. Yep, that'll work. All right, so our pan goes on already. The sun's out, even though it's kind of cool out. The butter's already melted, and then I'm just dumping in the greens. Normally, a little bit later in the season, I would probably remove the leaves from the stinging nettle, but the stalks are actually perfectly good to eat right now. And this is a bunch, but it'll cook down, or at least we'll see. Okay, and then while that's occurring, I'm just gonna tamp this a little bit, mix it up. So we got the dandelion in there, a little bit of plantain, and then a bunch of stinging nettle as well. All right, well that's starting a little bit. Let's get our duck eggs going. All right. It's all going to go together anyway. And if you haven't watched, I've got a video on foraging and cooking stinging nettle. A little bit more information on that. Excellent green, especially this time of year. That's what's so wonderful about this. Here we are in April. I have no spinach, lettuce, kale that's ready to harvest. I have some stuff that's close that I had started indoors, and I'll be harvesting that probably within the next week or so, starting to. But this I could easily have been harvesting over the last 2 to 3 weeks. Okay, right? That's a 3-week jump, a month really, when you add it up like that. So a month jump on fresh greens season, just by doing a little bit of foraging right here on our property, all within easily within 100 yards of our house. All right, well, continue to let that cook down. Just adding a little bit of fuel here. Cool thing about these rocket stoves is that basically you can feed them with just about anything. All right, so this is starting to cook down pretty well. I wanted to cook down just a touch more. I probably should have added a little more butter than this. But that's okay. And I could have chopped this up, okay? If I was a professional, but I'm not. All right, that's cooked down pretty well. So now I'm gonna add the eggs. Let that start to cook in a little bit. The only thing I'm adding, besides the butter, is a little sea salt. And then also some nice spice here. And this consists of nothing but jalapeno, ghost pepper, arbol, and habanero. So it's very hot. Oops. Okay, nothing pretty here at all, but let's give it a shot. Just some duck eggs and some greens. No prep time, pretty much, and just threw it all together, and there we go. Very good, very good. This is delicious. Like I said, I could have prettied this up. I could have chopped those things, and that probably would make it better as far as presentation and ease of eating. But when I'm in my kind of camp mode, this works out great. Now, let me show you one. I don't know if you can see that. Let's see. All right, that's basically the Dandelion Bud. Okay, the flower bud. And it's excellent. It tastes really good at that stage. Okay. And like I said, the only downfall of what I did here is it's a little bit hard to eat. But that's pretty much it. Well, there you go. I decided to go ahead and add all three of those, and I think it's kind of cool, just adding in a bunch of different greens. But man, this is really good. This is really good. So try this. Give it a shot. Let's see what greens are available, and do a quick scramble. And that's it.